All right, go for it.
Good morning, everyone. It's V the Grill Economist coming to you live with my main man, El Cuco, where we bring you the news, the views, and all the information important to you. Check us out, roguemoney.net. Follow us on Twitter at the Rogue Money and Rogue Money on Facebook, DTube, Steam, every single podcasting app known to humanity. We're everywhere you want us to be in a bag of chips. With that being said, also check out our sponsors, mycbdedibles.com, mycbdedibles.com. Get your order in. CBD infused coffee, CBD infused deliciousness from chocolate peanut butter Buckeyes, almond coconut truffles, granola bars. I mean, you name it. It is all sorts of delicious, nutritious, amazing CBD infused products with 99.999% CBD isolates. It's awesome. It's the way to go. Also, check out thecryptoschool.com. Thecryptoschool.io. Thecryptoschool.io. Whether you want to learn about cryptos, get a crypto education, and or join a trading room, we have it there for you. Thecryptoschool.io. Learn to trade from the best, and the guys will be on today at some point, maybe 12 o'clock or so. And next week we'll be on a regularly scheduled broadcast. Also, check out RemainCalm.net. Don't freak out, Remain Calm. You got debt collectors, you got debt issues, you got bill collectors knocking on your door, waving the 4-4. Then you need to call RemainCalm.net and let these guys take care of it for you. Kick the collectors and the banksters in the nuts with RemainCalm.net. That being said, Siege, what's going on, brother? How are you?
I'm doing great, V. Good morning. Doing great. Excited for the weekend. And how about yourself, man?
I'm doing good, man. I'm, thank God it's Friday. And I'm looking forward to the weekend, man. Just looking forward to just relaxing, getting some R&R. Absolutely.
Yeah, and I hope our listeners are doing the same thing. So, I enjoyed an evening outside. It's summertime. I like spending it outdoors. I'm cooped up during the winter. So anytime I can, I'm maxing and relaxing outdoors, V.
Epic. That is just epic. Well, buddy, where do you want to begin, man? I mean, they got a lot of stuff going on.
You take us where you want to go, V. You take us where you want to go.
Well, you know what? Let's talk about the hits that keep on coming. I mean, there's a lot of stuff going on right now, especially with Tommy Robinson, folks. There's a petition out there. I kind of tweeted it out on our Twitter. Sign it. The petition is to get Donald Trump to get Tommy over here in the United States as a asylum seeker, a real political asylum, because he is a political prisoner in the UK. It is horrible what is happening to Tommy Robinson. If you haven't noticed, or if you haven't been paying attention, they've moved Tommy Robinson, who's a key individual in exposing the Islamic Pakistani grooming gangs that are running around in the UK. And folks, the reason why Tommy was immediately brought down, he was, pretty much being given the fast track to death row, aka putting him into a prison that's filled with radical jihadis and Islamists, 73% prison population, guaranteeing his death. Okay. And, the reason for this is because, of course, he's exposing the grooming gangs, not only Islamic, but are also British in general. What these guys were doing is they were grooming and getting into these girls into sex trafficking in order to serve British elites in Parliament and in other facets of British high society. I mean, think about it. Why wasn't these guys, these grooming gangs, given the fast track to, prison, given the fast track on law? Why did it take forever? Why were the police looking the other way? Why were and the simple story at one level is, oh, they don't want to be perceived as racist, and that's why. And that well and could be true at some level. Okay, at some level. It's probably the level that was given to these cops, make these cops look the other direction. But a much more nefarious level we find out is this. The reason why the cops were told to look the other way is not because of racism and fear of racism. The reason why there was a very, very slow, like molasses move to any sort of justice being done by any sort of authorities, it's simply this. These Islamic grooming gangs were the pimps. These were the low-level gang members whose jobs were to capture these young British girls and then traffic these British girls and use them as just horrible ways for the pleasure of the elites. These guys were paid handsomely to do this, and the British elite love to have it so. That's why the hammer of justice, not the hammer of injustice, is falling on Tommy Robinson at the rate that it is. Tommy was exposed in this whole thing. So we need to pray for Tommy. We need to pray for his family. For them to all of a sudden move him from a minimum security prison where he was safe to a maximum security prison or near maximum security prison, throwing him into general population with murderers and rapists, killers, violent individuals who, as soon as he got there, were screaming threats that they were going to kill him. These are the violent Islamists, the Mohammedans, the miscreants that are inhabiting the halls of that prison. This is the way they do it. And then the fact is that the judge is ordering a media blackout, that no media in the UK can talk about it. So when they kill him, that people will forget him. What these assholes don't realize, these tyrants who seem to have so blinded by their own stupidity and hubris. I'm telling you right now, if you haven't been paying attention, what you would find out is this. If you haven't been paying attention, there are massive protests going on all across Europe. If anything happens to Tommy, and in fact, it's all across the world, much of the Western world, okay, including Australia, New Zealand, all over the EU, and of course the UK. If anything were to happen to Tommy Robinson, if he dies, if he is murdered in prison, because that's what it is, murdered in prison, I'm telling you right now, that will pretty much be the spark that sets it all off. That will pretty much be the spark that sets it all off. And if all of there's some of you saying, "Oh, the population's not going to do nothing. The population's not going to do nothing." You haven't been paying attention. What you would find out is this: there is a underbelly. There is a vast swath of pissed off people who see and who have seen their government erode their personal liberties, trample on their freedoms, come down like a tyrannical police state. And the way these assholes did it, the way they pulled off this grandiose technique is quite simple. In every facet, pretty much every facet of London, okay, what they stacked it with sycophant, jihadi-leaning Islamist Muslims of the Wahhabi kind. Okay, the mayor of London, Muslim. Mayor of Birmingham, Muslim. Mayor of Leeds, Muslim. Mayor of Blackburn, Muslim. Mayor of Sheffield, Muslim. Mayor of Oxford, Muslim. Mayor of Luton, Muslim. Mayor of Oldham, Muslim. Mayor of Rochdale, Muslim. 3,000 Muslim mosques in UK. 130 Muslim Sharia courts in the UK. Could you believe that? A Sharia court? 50 Muslim Sharia councils, over 50. Okay. There are Muslim-only no-go areas across the UK. Muslim women that are statistically in the UK, 78% do not work and are on free benefits and housing. Muslim families, 6 to 8 children planning to go on free benefits and housing. And now they voted that UK schools could only have halal meat. How do you like them apples? And all of this is done by a population of 4 million Muslims against a population of around 60 million Brits. See, the Brits have been conditioned, just like much of Western civilization has been conditioned to hate themselves. The West has been conditioned to hate who they are, hate their culture, hate their history, when there's much about Western civilization that needs to be embraced and celebrated and valued and treasured for what it is. Probably the epitome of human development in the world. Think about it. The contributions of Western civilization is undeniable. But we've been taught to hate it. We've been taught to hate it. And let me tell you something, folks. You don't have to be just white to be somebody who is Western civilized. You can be any color you want. The beauty of Western culture, it is the ideals of Western culture. That is the most beautiful thing in the world. And I love it. I love it when people of every creed and background assimilate. And there's a key word, folks, assimilate, and take on our values, because at that point, they're my brother. I don't care if you're black, white, yellow, brown, red, and anything in between. If you hold dear the values of what makes our country and our civilization awesome, then you're my brother, then you're my sister. When we don't have that, when we have a balkanization, as what is happening in Europe, what is happening in the UK, take a look at it. Take a look at the situation surrounding Tommy Robinson. Take a look at that situation. Folks, I said this before. Immigration without assimilation is invasion. Immigration without assimilation is invasion. Say it again. Immigration without assimilation is invasion. And that's what you have. You have an invasive, parasitic culture that is hyper virulent because it spreads. It is hyper antagonistic and hyper aggressive. At the same time, that if you were to say these things, if you were to think these things, you were deemed a racist. Folks, I believe this. I'm not a racist. Okay, I'm not a racist. I believe all races are equal. Okay, I don't believe all cultures are equal, though. There's a difference. All races, because again, we are all one race. We're the human race with various ethnic expressions. Okay. And some people say, well, certain races have higher IQs. Well, high IQ points, you could raise it. Believe it or not, proper nutrition, proper training, you could actually increase IQ points. In other words, I could take a kid from some part of middle Africa where the average IQ is about 75. And if I get that kid at a prime time and give him the proper adequate nutrition, the adequate training, I could raise his IQ points to over 100, or 104, 105. Now he's competing top level. And there are certain idiots who say, oh, the white race, the highest IQ. You're not. It's actually Asians, highest IQ in the world. Okay. IQs, again, can be increased and or decreased. This is a thing. It moves up and down. Okay. So for me, my little scientific background that I have, I will tell you right now, it's we are one race with varying ethnic expressions. Okay. But I will also tell you this. Even though we are all the human race, and I don't believe in racial superiority, I really don't. When you look at Western civilization in the grand scheme of things, we've been only on this, if it's the length and breadth of my hand, Western civilization's time on planet Earth is basically the tip of my fingernail. Okay, in the grand scheme of things. We got a lot right. And believe me, the Western culture is not something you want to live in during the Middle Ages. There's a much bigger world. But I'm talking about where we are, where we've been distilled, where Western culture has distilled itself into today. It's the best, simply the best. For now, it's still the best, the greatest ideals ever. Okay. That being said, I don't believe all cultures are equal. I don't. I think there's some very backward cultures who do some very savage things, who need what's the word I'm looking for? A reformation, who needs a revamping, a modernization, an advancement. Okay. And what is happening in Western culture is we are taught to hate ourselves. We have become the poster child of self-immolation. We've become the poster child of self-hate and self-immolation. We're becoming balkanized by those quote unquote leaders who lead us. And what is needed, folks, is for this to stop. But knowing these crazy nut jobs that are in power, they're not going to stop. And that is why I said that if you think that nothing's going to happen with the death of Tommy, au contraire, mon frère, it can, and it could, the word is good, it could very much be the very trigger that triggers a massive pushback and conflict against the globalists that will put an end to these traitorous wretches. War is coming. War is coming. I'm telling you, the globalists have been pushing back, especially the EU. And people look at America. We got got the libtards, and we got those who love freedom, who love what our current administration is doing. But when you look at Europe, it is far worse. It is far worse, and there are those who feel so damn undermined in Europe right now. That is a rubber band being stretched to the limit. It is about to snap back. And I truly believe if anything happens to Tommy Robinson, if he should die in jail, if he is murdered in the next several minutes or in the next few hours, if he is martyred for this, this will be almost like an Archduke Ferdinand type event. And you will see a revolution that would make the French Revolution blush. That's what I'm seeing. Siege, what's your take on the whole Tommy Robinson thing, man? I know it's off topic, but I think it's important to talk about.
Well, I think in part the people of the UK, the people in Europe have pretty much done this to their own demise. They have allowed this to happen. They've allowed other cultures to come in and attempt to manipulate, to change. The foreigners that came in did not come there to assimilate it all. They came there to take over. And those flags, those caution flags had been thrown up 12, 16 years ago. I remember, reading articles and them talking about, Sharia law and talking about, taking over these areas. And now they're waking up to reality of what it is. They're waking up to realize that their free speech is being suppressed. They're waking up to criminal activity being allowed to continue. So I don't want to say they sealed their fate. I'm glad that they're now rising to the matter, but it should have been done, years ago when those warning flags were thrown up. And now look what's happening. It's like a massive awakening that's happening there. And Angela Merkel is learning the hard way that the proposed new immigration policies that the new government is proposing, and she's potentially going to reject that, it very well may oust her from political power, where the people of Germany saying enough is enough. The people in Italy are saying enough is enough. We're not going to allow this mass immigration come in and to change our country, change our way of life. And thank God Donald Trump was elected, because we are very much at risk of this. We were right there. It's already happening across the United States. These massive refugees that have been brought in, and there's certain parts of America you can go in and you can see that transformation occurring. And it's not being racist. It's just the culture, the upbringing that we that we are as Americans, that we want our families to live, to breathe and operate in. We don't want any foreign nationals coming in and trying to change, our way of life, our way of thinking of things. I'm sorry. And if you want to deem me a racist, go right ahead, because I see nothing wrong with certain aspects. And I don't think that racist thing, I don't think racism it's ever going to go away. I have no problem with someone having white pride. I have no problem with saying black pride or Mexican pride. I'm glad people have pride in their heritage. I truly am. It makes no difference. So to me, if someone says, hey, I prefer to marry within my own race, within my culture, I don't regard them as a racist. I'm just saying that they want to keep that culture going, and there's nothing wrong with that. Right. So I'm glad that finally there's a massive awakening happening. Tony Robbins tried to, did I say that right? Tony Robbins?
Tommy Robbins.
Not Tony Robbins. That's the motivation speaker, bro. So Tommy tried to.
Tony Robbins is in jail. He's about to get killed. You don't want to say that. You don't want to create a panic.
So apparently, an imam has ordered a hit, on Tommy, and the massive protests that would ensue, that would happen. It's just very alarming that someone tries to shed the truth about arranging and setting up and child prostitution, all that, but yet it's deemed that you can't reveal that because it's not favorable. It's going to make our portion of society, our culture, look bad. So therefore, we're not allowed to talk the truth. And hopefully, it does come out and we just have to continue sharing and that message about what's happening, because you won't hear it anywhere in the U.S. media talking about this.
Correct. Absolutely correct. Nobody else is talking about it. Nobody else is mentioning it. And it's very important that we do. It's very vital that we do, because when you look at the situation, like this imam, he's going to have a fatwa. I love what Austria did. Austria shut down 7 mosques and kicked out over 60 some odd imams. You're going to come here with that crazy backward ass religion and start espousing your bullshit, you're going to have your ass kicked, period. I'm telling you right now, a lot of these guys over the last several decades in these Muslim communities in Luton and whatnot have been talking a lot of smack, okay? And they've been thinking to themselves that they could run their mouths and do whatnot. I'm telling you guys right now, you guys in Luton, you guys in Bradford, you guys, your little Islamic communities, you better hope and pray that Tommy Robinson stays alive. You better hope and pray that Tommy Robinson stays alive and that he's transferred back to a normal prison. If you are a Muslim in Bradford, in Luton, or any one of these areas in the UK, you better hope and pray. Hell, you better be in that Free Tommy march. You better get your ass there ASAP, burqa and all. Okay, I don't care what you got to do. You better be there, because if anything happens to Tommy, I promise you this: England will find its balls. Then once they find their balls and they realize who the fuck they are, okay, and the Brits have a fighting spirit about them. Trust me. Believe me. They love a good fight. Okay? Once they find their balls, they're going to come into your neighborhoods, into your businesses, and kick the ever-loving shit out of you. The whole lot of you. It will be so bad for you that the majority of you will skedaddle back from the shitholes from whence you came. That's how bad it's going to be. You think you're bad? You haven't seen bad. You don't know bad. You see, I studied the history enough to know this. You don't mess with Western culture. You just don't do it. That blood of barbarians, that blood of the Gauls, the Visigoths, the Saxons, that blood, that warrior blood, the Celts, the Gaelic, that warrior blood runs thick through them. And yes, the last several decades, feminism has done its job and liberalism has done its job, and the chemicals in the food and water have done their job to quell and to sedate and to null down most of the men that are in the UK and in Europe. I promise you, anything happens to Tommy, you guys are going to get an ass beating. I'm talking about you Muslim guys who are in Luton, who are in Bradford, who are talking all that smack, talking about, you're going to have the flag of the caliphate over, flying over Westminster. You're going to have the flag of the caliphate flying on Big Ben and, flying over Buckingham Palace, and you're going to outbreed the Britons, and you're going to take over their country and introduce Sharia law and take their daughters. All that smack talking you've been doing because you had liberal freaking idiots running the country, and that allowed you and protected you to do this. That's all going to go away. Your liberal judges and law enforcement idiots, that's going to go away. All of that's going to stop. You will live in such fear and danger. You see, there are certain countries, CJ, that I'm privy to where, these certain Islamic populations live in fear. They stay quiet to themselves. They mind their own business. They raise their kids. They go about swimmingly because they don't want to raise a ruckus. Because they've historically, in those places, when a ruckus is raised by said group has the ever-loving crap beat out of them. And then they go back to being quiet. See, they understand that on a cultural level. They get that. So you're out there and you're talking all that smack about how you're going to take over this, and And let me tell you guys, some of you guys that are listening to this that are thinking that the flag of the caliphate is going to fly over the White House. Let me tell you guys something. We're not Europe. We're not the UK. This is America. And let me tell you something. Please, please come try it. Please come try it. You don't want none of this. You do not want none of this. That's the bottom line. I'm telling you right now, all you guys out there, you better be out there. You better be holding hashtag free Tommy Robinson signs. You need to be at the front of the line. Okay, because if anything happens to Tommy, you will be painted as the bad guy, and get ready for an ass whooping like you've never received. Get ready for your businesses to be trashed, your neighborhood set ablaze, your men and women and children having the crap beat out of all of them. It's coming. I'm warning you guys. I'm not telling you it's an if. I'm not telling you it's a maybe. I'm just telling you right now, it's a matter of time because I've been watching this very closely for the last several months. There is such a pressure in the UK. There's such a pressure in Europe. It is a rubber band that is being pulled. And I'm telling you right now, the alpha males that are in the UK are about to snap. And they will come looking for blood. And it's going to be your halal-eaten ass that's going to be paying for it. That's what I got to say, Siege.
Yeah, well said, V. And just, I think a caution that we have to worry about, here in the U.S. because there's other attempts that they're doing right now to conform us to, rid of the toxic masculinity, what they call the alpha male, V. And something that, again, for another show that we need to talk about is that entire attempt to, gimp the male, the masculinity through vaccines, through the food, through that transhumanist agenda that's there, where perhaps as early as a elementary school, that maybe perhaps you're not really a boy, maybe you're something different, and that's in that same attempt to, because they know they can't get away with that here in the U.S., so therefore they have to find other ways to soften us, to rid of us of that instinct that's there to defend, and that's done a lot through our vaccines and our foods, and it's real. It's real. Yep. So that when you hear people like Bill Gates that get up there and talk about that, that right now that there's an attempt that to slow down the population, to do that through creative and new vaccines, it's more on a larger scale an attempt to alter the men, to change the men. And right now, when you take a look at the vaccine schedule, I mean, it's very alarming what's happening to the youth. I mean, I see a difference in size of boys growing up. I think by far, when I look at some of my friends and their pictures of their kids and everything, I'm like, what happened? They're like sized down now. They're not the same size that, and maybe it's because they didn't have to work as hard or some of their childhood. But anyway, we'll save that for another show. But I think there's other parts to really try to make us even more compliant, as a society. And we have to, and like in California is a perfect example of that. Yeah.
I mean, look at Canada, man. Look at that moron, Justin Trudeau, that idiot, the 15-year-old girl stuck in a man's body. The cuckery of Western civilization doesn't seem to end. It's in Canada. It's in Australia. It's in the entire Commonwealth countries are being turned to crap. Okay, it's being turned to crap. The only last standing bastion here is the United States, and they're trying. Like you said, Siege, they're trying. Okay, they are trying. And I'll tell you right now, man, this is all backfiring on them. This will continue to backfire. And if the globalists keep pushing it, they're going to get, the globalists eventually are going to get an ass whooping, the likes of which they've never seen. It's just going to happen. I'm telling you right, it's these idiots globalists think that we don't know where they live. They think we don't know where their estates are. They think we don't know where their planes are parked or where their cars or their limos are. They think that we don't know what religious institutions they go to on a Sunday, that we have no idea who their families are. That's the type of ignorance that these morons live in. You better believe if you put our civilization to the test, If it's us against against the feds, in every war game scenario, the federal government is wiped off the face of the earth. In every war gamed scenario, will it come to that point? I don't know. Is it necessary to come to that point? Sometimes it is. Sometimes it is. With that being said, my man, I guess we could cover a topic real quick and hop off. What do you want to cover? So you just pick it.
Let's see here.
How about the white helmets? You want to talk about that?
Yeah, that's concerning a little bit.
That's concerning. It's like that Paul Abdul song. Remember that? I take 2 steps forwards, I take 2 steps back.
Well,
I mean, it's what is this? In somewhat surprising but not entirely unpredictable turn, President Trump has authorized new funding for the white helmets, which has previously been put on hold. A State Department press release puts the initial funding figure at $6.6 million to continue what it calls the vital life-saving operations of the Syrian civil defense. They're not the Syrian civil defense. They're not Syrian. They're not civil, and they're not defending anything but terrorists and terrorist operations, more commonly known as the White Helmets. Elsewhere on the State Department's website, the group is referenced as the first responders in Syria. However, it remains an indisputable fact that the group only operates in al-Qaeda anti-Assad insurgent-held territory. In early May, the Trump State Department froze the funding of the controversial group, which had provided sole evidence that the Syrian President Bashar al-Assad used chemical weapons. I mean, it's ridiculous, dude. It's ridiculous. I wonder who said that this is a great idea. Is it Bolton? Is it AIPAC? Like, who says that the white helmets? Who's time and time again? Look, if I can do a Google search and find white helmets, fraud, and false flag, and seen many videos and pictures of documented and staged events, why would I want to fund these guys? Knowing that these guys only hang out in al-Qaeda areas. They don't go do nothing for the Syrian people. They do absolutely jack diddly for the Syrian people. They got nothing to do with Syria. Why? Why doesn't the deep state just simply die? Why? This is stupid. What does this mean? Well, it means that more false flags will probably be coming, right? A false flag coming soon to a Syrian neighborhood near you.
Yeah, and interesting enough, Putin just put out that warning for Syria to be prepared. It's going to happen again.
Oh, there we go. There we go. Unreal. Anyway, with that being said, Siege, we're at the end of the program, my man.
And, yeah, absolutely. Go to roguemoney.net. A couple of new articles posted last night. James put up, I think one was by Harley. So go to roguemoney.net, check those out. And then also I guess the gang is later on going today to hit it again with Rogue Coin. Is that correct?
Yep, probably like 1 o'clock, maybe 2 o'clock. Probably 2 o'clock.
Cool.
Well, Friday, man.
It is Friday, yes. So our listeners, dial back in. But if not, have a great weekend. Enjoy
Father's Day.
Absolutely. Happy Father's Day to all of our rogue fathers out there. Absolutely. To you as well, V.
Yep, thank you. All the great dads, go forth and become epic, amazing dads who become mentors, who become amazing father figures. If you have daughters, be the example of the type of man that you'd want your daughter to bring home and be proud of, okay? Be that dude. If you got boys, teach them to be men, not wusses, not snowflakes. Get them into combative sports. Get them into just get them out of Snowflakeville. Teach them the power of education, knowledge, and insight. Be a role model. Be strong. There's an old saying, strong, and be strong. That's an old saying from back in the days in the eastern side of things. strong, and be strong. So that should be the motto. So with that being said, we're over and out. Take it away, CJ.